people to start their cameras. If possible, please switch on. See, we got a guest today, isn't it? It doesn't look good, na? If you can see me, is it not nice that I should be able to see you? And today is going to be yoga session. Hi, Himlata. Hi, Asha. So, how many of you attended yesterday's session? Yeah, Hemlata, Ganpati, Pritika, Lakshmi, yes. All right. So yesterday we took a session on mind management. So wherein we spoke about properties of the mind, different tendency of the mind, and what are the different ways we can manage our mind. So basically we took some stretches, pranayama and meditation. So today will be extension of the yesterday's session. But if you're attending for the first time, it's okay. So Pallavi will be taking some lifestyle disorders and yoga related to that. So we'll have a yoga asanas, pranayam and meditation also. I think, Rupa, we should start now. So let's those people come on time, let's respect their time.
Okay, definitely, ma'am. So very good evening to all the lovely faces I see. And for the ones I don't, please can you all switch on your cameras, because it's an interactive session, and even as speakers will be a lot happier to see all do the asanas that they're teaching us today. Absolutely no worries about being in casual clothes or having a messy room. Most of us know our speakers for today. For those who don't, we have with us Dr. Aparna Buddhakar, who is an ex-Nairite, who's done her MBBS as well as MD from Nair. After that, she's gone to UK, done her FRCA in anesthesiology, and now she's working in Jaslok Hospital since 2002 as a consultant. Apart from that, she's a yoga teacher and a volunteer at the Art of Living Foundation. Lovely to have you with us, ma'am. The second speaker for today is Mrs. Pallavi Shirgaonkar. She has done her master's in statistics, and before she moved into the field of yoga, she's done her. She's a certified yoga therapist from Yoga Vidya Niketan. She recently did her MA in Yoga Shastra from KJ Somaiya College, and she's also a certified level 3 yoga teacher under the Ayush Ministry of India. She's a yoga teacher at 2 yoga institutes in Mumbai, and she's been teaching yoga for over 10 years now. She has her own yoga studio called Sakha Yoga. Ma'am, we'd love to learn from you today.
So, I think when you think about yoga, before it goes to Pallavi, I'll just speak for 2-3 minutes. When you think of yoga, what comes in your mind? Anybody? Any answers? जब योगा वर्ड सुनते हैं तो माइंड में क्या आता है? लक्ष्मी, you can unmute and talk. This is an interactive session. Kritika, anyone?
To get connected.
Control over mind.
Control over the mind. Yes, you are right, Ganpati. Anybody else?
To get connected.
To get connected. Kritika, yes. Anyone else? Hemlata, Ritika, what do you think? आवाज ना येते प्रीतिका. Unmute.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Very nice. So normally the notion is that when you talk about yoga, you see a man and woman doing some yogic posture, right? That's what the picture comes in your mind. And that's what people think. Yoga means asana. But asana is only a small part of the yoga. It's like a tip of iceberg. You see only asana. There's much more to the yoga, which is hidden. But Lipika said right, even Ganpati said right, yoga is basically, as the meaning, yuj means union of body, mind and spirit. That's the true yoga. And yoga, India is a birthplace of yoga. Thousands of years back, yoga originated in India. And if you go back, you will see the mention of yoga in Vedas, Upanishads, even Bhagavad Gita. Patanjali, sage Patanjali is considered to be a father of yoga, and he wrote Yoga Sutras, and even now we refer to Yoga Sutras. Like I gave yoga exam last month, and we had to go through Patanjali Yoga Sutra. This was written 5,000 years ago. Isn't it amazing? So yoga, different definition. The definition I like, which is given in Bhagavad Gita. Yoga karmasu kaushalyam. That is skill in action. What does it mean? Yoga is skill in action, means skill in your day-to-day life. how to handle your own mind, as Ganpati said, how to handle the relationship, the communication. And I get really, really surprised. This was a definition given in Bhagavad Gita. This is what we call as an emotional intelligence. How to interact with the people, how to manage your mind, people's mind. And this is what is happening. I mentioned yesterday that so many companies outside US, they are doing yoga, pranayama, meditation in their companies just to improve the emotional intelligence of the people. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So in 2014, United Nations with 177 countries declared 21st June as an International Yoga. That was a proud moment for India. Yeah, the yoga was recognized all over the world. And since 2015, every year, the Yoga Day is celebrated all over the world. Billions of people do yoga sessions and workshop and courses. So I won't talk much about yoga now. Let's go to the expert, to Pallavi. So Pallavi, all yours now.
Yeah. Hello all. I'm feeling very fortunate to talk to all of you. And I really thank Nair Hospital Anesthesia Department to give me this opportunity. One second. Yeah. So I will be talking about certain lifestyle diseases. Yeah. So there are many lifestyle diseases. I will be talking mainly about obesity. Then I will talk about diabetes, then hypertension and cardiac coronary artery diseases and thyroid. Okay. So now why these diseases are called lifestyle diseases? Because there is certain fault in the lifestyle, and because of that, this disease has come into the body, right? And what is the medication generally given? The medication is generally given on the body level. We try to bring the parameters in control, right? But are we correcting the lifestyle here anywhere through the medication? No, we cannot. Beyond the point, we can give medications, we can bring the parameters. But the lifestyle which is wrong, which has caused this disease, do we correct it? Unless that person put the efforts, it is not possible through the medication. Now here the yoga therapy comes into picture. Now yoga therapy can work as a supportive therapy to your medications which are given. And it can help the person to correct his lifestyle and remove the dependency on the medication. Over the time, you can actually get totally free. There are many researches and actual experiences that people have got cured completely through many of the diseases with the help of this changes in the lifestyle. Okay, so now actually when yoga was practiced earlier, yoga is a moksha shastra. Now moksha means to get liberation. Now initially yoga was practiced that way. But when the Rishi Munis started practicing, they realized that it affects your health. It overall changed your personality. It changed you as a person on body level, mind level. And there the therapy came into picture, using yoga as a therapy. And then it started getting practiced as a therapy over the time. So this is how yoga therapy came into picture. People started. Actually, otherwise it was Ayurveda in this old times. And now you know that yoga works not only just on the body level, but it works on the body, mind, and the spirit level. Now, how does yoga look at disease? First, let us understand. Now, yoga look at disease on they have a concept of Panchakosha therapy. So they believe that existence of a human is not just on the body level, or only there are 5 levels of our existence basically. Okay, so we are body, Annamaya Kosh. Then we have Pranamaya, there is a prana energy flowing, there is a Pranamaya Kosh. Then there is a Manomaya, the mind, Manomaya Kosh. Then there is a Vijnanmaya, intellect. And then there is a Anandamaya Kosh. Now, other than the hereditary diseases or something which comes by birth, many of the diseases come through the mind and sits up till the body level. That is how the yoga thinks. And that's why the harmony in all these 5 levels are required to become totally disease-free or become a healthy person. So that is how the therapy, yoga therapy, look at solving the problem. Now, how does it solve the problem? It considered 4 main pillars to solve the problems. One is ahar, which we know as the food which we eat. Okay. Then vihar. Vihar is the physical activities we do or whatever things which we do in day-to-day life. That all comes. It can be yoga, exercise, anything. That is vihar. Then there comes the achar. Achar includes the dinacharya. Like what do you do in a sequence in a day? What all activities you do, right from getting up till sleeping, food when you are eating, all this. That is the dincharya which you follow. And what all activities are involved in a day. Okay, that has to be balanced as well. And then last is the vichar, your thoughts, what way you think, what is your behavior with people around you. So all these 4 things are to be corrected in order to solve the problem in your body. Okay, so now when we will be discussing all the diseases one by one, we will be seeing on each of this level. Okay, ahar, vihar, achar, and vichar. Now, before I start up each of these things, I would like to tell that any person does not have only one disease. He has many complaints in his body. He may be having other problems also. So we cannot look at whatever I'm telling you during this yogic therapy, whatever I will suggest now, we'll be assuming that that person has only that particular illness. So generally when we give therapy, it is one-to-one. Each individual is a different person. His thinking is different. His way of lifestyle is different. So all these things are taken into consideration before we give the therapy. Now, whatever I am suggesting you over here is based on my experiences and my studies. I'm not an expert, but I will try to tell you all different ways for all these 4 illnesses. Okay, clear? Let's start. Okay, and what I'm going to do is first I will be starting with each of these things I will discuss, and at the end we will practice the asanas or the pranayams or the meditation related to disease, because I cannot keep going on the mat again and again and talking again. So we will first discuss everything and then we'll start the practices. Fine with everybody? Cool? Okay. Yeah. So let's start with the obesity. Okay. Now obesity is defined. I need not tell. BMI more than 30 is considered as obesity. Now obesity is like a pandemic today. It has been like a common thing everywhere. Initially it was more in America. Now even in India we see a lot of childhood obesity we can see, and it has seeped into our society also. This is more majorly seen in urban society, because here the lifestyle is majorly people have no fixed timings of having food. The food is also instant food, whichever you get, because people are running after their jobs. There are day-to-day activities. There is a lot of traveling involved. So all this has affected their food timings. It has affected their sleep timings. They are not doing any physical activities or very little physical activities. And plus there is a lot of stress. There is so much competition. A person is going through so many emotions in a day, interacting with so many people, anxiety, fear, jealousy, so many things are going. So it is like all the parameters are haywire basically. Just because you are younger, it may not show. Over the time, it will start showing. So obesity is because of our faulty food habits, sleep. So each of these things have to be corrected, and then we go. So let's go to the first pillar which I talked about, ahar. Now ahar, generally yoga doesn't go very much deeper into the ahar concept like nutrition science, but we have a general few things which we talk about ahar. Ahar, according to yoga, has to be sattvic ahar. Now what is sattvic ahar? Anybody knows it? Anybody can tell me? Anybody has heard about it?
So eating fresh food and home cooked food.
Yes, very good. Correct.
And mostly
so that is
vegetarian.
Yeah, correct. So we, according to, one second, I'll just, yeah. So ahar, according to sattvic ahar, is one which is easy to digest. The basic idea is it has to be easy to digest. Why it has to be easy to digest? Because every food we eat has an impact on our mind. Okay, that is the basic idea behind sattvic ahar. Because our food impacts our mind, the ahar which creates a peaceful mind, alert mind, that is a sattvic ahar. So in sattvic ahar, what comes? Not very spicy, very easy to digest food, fresh food, seasonal food, fruits and vegetables that come under the sattvic ahar. Okay, non-veg is difficult to digest, so even that doesn't come into sattvic ahar. Now, what are the other types of food? We have to see if this is sattvic, what is the other type which is not to be eaten, and what is their impact on our body and mind. Now, other type of food is, one is rajasic type of food. Now, rajasic type of food is like very spicy, okay, and it is like it is very tasty. So how it has an effect on your mind? It makes you very aggressive. It makes you very unstable. You're obsessed, and there are a lot of desires. It creates a lot of desires. So this psychology of food and mind was studied in yoga. And that's why they suggest that you should have sattvic. Rajasic will create more desire, create more instability. And what is tamasic kind of food? So now I can say that we majorly eat tamasic because we eat a lot of junk food and stale food also. Many times we put it in the fridge. The concept of fridge was not there earlier, or we microwave it many times and all that thing. So all the nutrients are lost. So they are dead food. Basically, dead food is tamasic food, and it is very difficult to digest, and it just creates a lot of lethargy in you, and it really doesn't provide you anything. So that kind of food, tamasic and rajasic food, has to be avoided. Sattvic food has to be eaten. Okay, so that will make you what? Calm, energetic, and alert. That is what yoga says. Another thing yoga says, mita ahar. Mita ahar means eating less. Now, what is the quantity to eat? Is, according to them, is half of the stomach should be filled with food, 1/4 with water, and 1/4 should be kept for the space, so that the assimilation can happen properly. That is mita ahar. And it should be done according to your activity level. Okay, so that is mita ahar. And then they also talk about yukta ahar. What is yukta ahar? Basically, yukta ahar is, it should provide all the nutrients. So they say that yukta ahar is that ahar which nourishes the sapta dhatu. There is a concept of sapta dhatu. I will not go too much in detail, but that is like providing nutrition to your blood, then your skin, then your majja. Then there is seven dhatus. Our body is made up of 7 dhatus, and nourishing that dhatus is the yukta ahar. So one is sattvic ahar, mita ahar, and yukta ahar. Now, when we go, now there is the nutrition. It has like, there's a lot of research, and we know what is carbohydrates, protein, and all that thing. We can use that knowledge to decide what food is good for a particular illness or not. But the basic idea in yoga is given is 3 levels. Even if you eat sattvic ahar, basically all the problems get sorted because toxins are not generated in your body. So for the obesity now, in particular, you have to see that you really have to have mita ahar, because and you have to have yukta ahar, because otherwise you fall sick. Even if you are having a lot of weight, you may not be having that energy level and all that. So you have to have these 3 things for sure: mita ahar, yukta ahar, and eating sattvic food. Now, if in obese people already there are a lot of toxins, so what they suggest is doing certain kriyas. There is called shat kriyas. There are kriyas, means cleansing process. They cleanse the body. So there is something called shankha prakshalan kriya. Okay, it cleans the entire alimentary canal through using the water. I will not go into detail again. We can, if anybody wants to know, they can learn. But that is cleansing. You know about one of the Shatkriya, that is called Basti, which is enema. Okay, so that can be used. Even we can use the Vaman Dhoti, which if suppose somebody has a lot of acidity issue, obese people generally have acidity issue, they can do Vaman Dhoti regularly. Vaman Dhoti is puking taking water and puking it out. So the stomach gets clean. When you do Shankha Prakshalan, entire alimentary canal clears. Basti, it cleans the colon, basically. So there are different more Shatkriyas also. So depending upon the person, we can recommend it for obesity. But these 3 are generally will be there for obese people. Now let's go to the asanas. Now we know that physical activities are required, right? So what is the difference between doing an exercise and doing yogasana? When you do asana, you are focusing even on your breathing pattern. Okay, it does not, there are sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. So when you do a lot of exercise, it actually agitates you. It releases the stress hormones. While when you do asanas, you are giving the effect to that body part with a relaxed manner. Correct? So that is how we practice asana. Now in asana also, for obese people, we focus on particular body part. We suggest the asanas, like we may work on their tummy, we can work on their hip region. I can suggest asanas according. Let me share you my screen so that you get an idea what asanas we can suggest. Yeah. So here for obese people, you can see there are few names. Maybe some of you might be knowing about it. At least you know the Surya Namaskar. Now Surya Namaskar, when done at the fast pace, it can be working like a cardio. Then there is certain Malasana for cleansing of the, like it works like a basti only. Chakki will work on the tummy. Then Paschimottanasana will work on the tummy. Vajrasana is a sitting posture which allows the blood circulation more in the stomach region, so it helps in digestion. So that is how the asanas are suggested. These are the few of the names. And now let's go to the pranayamas. Now pranayamas, we had seen yesterday how it works on the mind. Now certain pranayamas can also have effect on the body level. Like when we do Kapalbhati, we are actually taking the stomach in and out, and it is improving the blood circulation at the stomach region. Then it balances both the nadis. Okay, so it purifies all the nadis. Then in obese people, the nadis are not purified. There's a lot of blockages here and there because in general, they are obese. Their blood circulation is not very good. They have a lot of other illness which develops over the time. That is how it is. So if you do regular Nadi Shodhan Pranayam, then Kapalbhati, all these things purifies your nadis. Okay, Bhastrika, and it Surya Bhedan. It improves the metabolism, increases the digestive fire. So all this pranayama works on the body level also, other than the mind level. Okay. Now we have certain things like bandhas and mudras also in yoga. Now what are bandhas and what are mudras? Mudras are like, you can say like some action, like this is a mudra. We have seen dance mudras and all that. So what it does, it directs the energy in a particular region. It can be a body level mudra or it can be hasta mudra also. So the prana flows in a particular way. So we suggest even mudras. Suppose things are still difficult, we can suggest mudras also. So here I am not suggesting anything particular, but other than hasta mudras will be there. We need not go into detail of that also. And bandhas is what it is, capturing the energy in a particular region. Udyan bandha captures the energy at the stomach level. Okay, so that is how there. Okay, yeah. So this is all for the obesity. Of course, good sleep is required. We work even on the sleeping also. So we give some conscious relaxation to the patients who suffer from extreme obesity. Conscious relaxation helps to relax that person completely. Like we do yoga nidra, sitting, certain conscious relaxation techniques are also there. Thing is about mind now. That comes under the vichar category. Here, the person being obese has lost his confidence. He's overall lethargic person. So here, pranayama helps, makes him more alert. Then meditation makes him more positive person. Chanting helps. So these things he can practice and he can sort the problem related to obesity over the time. It takes time. Yogic therapy takes time and it has to develop as a lifestyle. Then it starts showing results. Okay, so this is about obesity. Anything you want to ask before we move to the next disease, lifestyle disease? Anyone? I will close this for some time. Yeah. Any queries related to obesity?
Hemlata got a query.
No?
Hemlata can unmute. Hemlata want to ask.
Can I? Yeah. Actually, the gym instructors will tell you that only yoga will not help. You have to do some cardio and other things. So is that right?
Correct.
Just clarify on that aspect.
Yes, you can do exercise and all that. Just see that you are not overexerted. You feel it should not make you more restless person. Okay, so you can go for walk and you should develop it. Like you, when you generally see what happens when we gain weight, we get so restless, we want to immediately lose the weight. So what we do, we go to the extreme level. We may start fasting, we may start doing lot of jogging, lot of exercise and all that. It puts stress on your body and mind both. So anything you want to add up, you can develop at a pace, slowly increase your capacity. Asanas work that way. It slowly increase your capacity, and it is more as a lifestyle. You can add up all these things, but it works on all level, as I said, ahar, vihar, achar, vichar. Yeah.
Is there anything to control the desire to eat, which is the main, by eating we put on weight, no?
Correct, correct. So when you start eating sattvic ahar, na, automatically this obese people have a more tendency to eat sweets, and it create that insulin spikes and all that thing. When you start eating the regular sattvic ahar and fixed timings, it will take some time to get into that habit. But a 1 month practice or 2 month practice, you know that urge to have those kind of food also drops with time. But then that person has to take in his mind that, yes, I will follow this lifestyle for some time. And then it becomes then you can manage your urges. That is how it works. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. So shall I go to the next one now? Diabetes?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not watching the time. Let me check. What is the time? 6:30. Okay.
6:30. So we can keep question at the end, maybe, Pallavi?
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So now diabetes is the metabolic disease which leads to the high blood sugar. Okay. Either your insulin is not secreted properly or there is an insulin resistance. Now, there is a lot of study done on diabetes overall also in general, not in yoga itself. So basically you need to keep your weight in control, correct? And you have to manage your food habits. This is seen in general, not just in yoga. This too really helps the diabetic people. And we really work through our ahar. Now I'm not going to repeat the ahar thing. It is same. In yogic concept, we have this mitahar, yukta ahar, and sattvic ahar. The nutrition part, you can check as per the nutritionist what food is good for a diabetic, what food is good for a hypertension, that you can follow accordingly. In diabetic patient, one thing for sure I will tell, that you have to keep a balance of this nutrition, like the carbs, protein, and all this proportion is there. In each meal, you generally try to keep it same, because otherwise your insulin dose can vary and it can affect you. The blood sugar level can fluctuate. So generally we keep the nutrition level same in each meal. Secondly, very big in diabetic, you have to be very disciplined about your timings of food. Okay, you have to follow that rule. You have to become a disciplined person for diabetic patient, so that you don't see a lot of spikes of blood sugar. Another thing, let me check. Yeah. Now we'll move to the asanas. Before that, I would say that in general, when we do asanas, we don't suggest to eat food after the asanas or something. But in diabetic patient, after doing the exercise, we eat something, a little quantity at least. That is, we follow for diabetic patient. Okay, now let's see you can include high fibers that I can tell about diabetic people related to ahar, which will help to keep your blood sugar in control. Now, asanas, generally, overall asanas are required for good blood circulation. We know that the blood circulation is not good in diabetic patients, especially in the extremities, right? So all the asanas which we will be doing for obese people will follow even for this. First is to control your weight and generally improve your blood circulation. Plus, you do some topsy-turvy asanas, where your feet is up and your head is down. So this asanas helps the blood in your feet region, if it is like it has become stagnant, to move back to the heart region. So topsy-turvy to avoid diabetic food. So certain topsy-turvy asanas are included depending upon the patient's condition. All asanas has to be done under the guidance of yogic guru, because you don't know the level of your disease. You don't know the teacher. You have to get a correct person who will understand you properly and guide you properly and do according to your capacity. Always develop your stamina slowly. Do not go directly to topsy-turvy. I will do it because it is good. No. Now I won't teach you. If you want to learn properly, then you have to come to me personally, and then few things, simple things I will be teaching. Okay. Now, another thing I would suggest for diabetic is exercise for the eyes, because even the eyes get affected in diabetic patients, glaucoma and all that. So eye exercise regular. In general, improve the complete what we do. Sukshma Vyama has to be done by the diabetic patient at every single day. Even if you don't do asanas every day, Sukshma Vyama regularly has to be done by diabetic patients. Okay. Now, yeah, here also pranayamas would be suggested as per which improves the metabolic capacity. So that Surya Bhedan, Bastrika, all that comes here also. Let me share again, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, fine. So here you can see the asana list. Ardha Matsendra Asan, then Vakrasan, Mandukasan. They are working on the pancreas and all that. They are putting certain pressure on the pancreas and the liver region to improve the blood circulation in these organs. So the secretion of insulin and all that will improve. Yeah, here Shishu Asan, relaxation techniques are also. Then Nadi Shodhan, Kapalbhati, Surya Bhedan are the pranayamas. Here again, Udyan Bandha is good for the diabetic patient. Now let's see about the attitude of diabetic patients. Now, diabetic patients are generally seen to be very moody. They have very certain tendency towards negativity. So this is general. This is done in Yoga Institute. I'm taking from the Yoga Institute studies. They have done the studies and they have seen the general attitudes of different kind of lifestyle disease patients. They have done it actually and taken a camp and improved their parameters accordingly. So they have seen that the diabetic, their mood keeps swinging. They are little stubborn. They are prone to negativity. They continuously talk negativity. Now here, the patient has to be made aware about their nature and how it is affecting their blood sugar, like how they can see the spikes. They should be shown how negativity can affect their blood sugar levels. If you continuously be negative, what happens on your blood sugar level? That impact has to be shown. Okay. And then the yogic wisdom is utilized to create positivity. You have to see life in a broader perspective. Generally, you are negative because you are seeing only your problems. You have to see the world in a bigger picture. There are a lot of things. People are suffering around you. Your condition may be far better. You can solve your problem. You can keep yourself in control, all these parameters. This positivity, faith has to be induced. Okay, so there's a lot of yogic wisdom. There is something called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Yesterday, somebody spoke about, she continuously was repeating positive messages to herself she was giving. So this is the same thing. Every negative thought is replaced with a positive thought. That is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Okay. So such techniques, yogic wisdoms are there, which are told to them. So it is a part of the therapy. You have to listen to those things. They are again and again told to them and told to practice it in their life. So then that change happens. Plus meditation, pranayama and chanting helps you to become calm, alert, and this thing works. Like other than the yogic wisdom, pranayama, meditation and chanting will surely help in all these things. Okay. So yogic counseling is important for all this diabetic patient, hypertension people. Next, let's move to the hypertension. I'm again watching the time. 1 second. It is 6:42. Yeah, let's I will finish it off. Not much. They are very related, so you can get an idea. Hypertension, because there is an elevated blood pressure for a long time, and then it will lead to your heart attack, heart failure, stroke, and all that thing happens. So how does it work? Again, food wise, I'm not telling new things. It is same. Plus, you can follow a dietitian and do accordingly. You have to follow the timing, mitahar, yuktahar, and satvikahar. This is what yoga suggests. Asanas. Asanas again, which it should improve your blood circulation. Like diabetic patient, you have to do all the asanas, not like particular. Again, here topsy-turvy postures will help you to reset your baroreceptor reflex mechanism that regulates your blood pressure. So you have to do that. Topsy-turvy is also good even in case of hypertension. Again, you have to see the level of your heart tissue. Don't go directly. It might put a lot of pressure on the heart. Slowly that capacity has to be developed. Okay. So you don't have to go to directly to Sarvangasana. You may do some intermediate asanas, which will slowly keep the heart at a lower level. That way it is how it works. Then here the pranayamas which help in this case is Bhramari, because it has a calming effect. Then Chandra, like Surya Bhedan, there is called Chandra Bhedan Pranayam, which activates the cooling part of your body, the parasympathetic, right? Correct, no? I get confused sometimes. Yeah, parasympathetic. And then Bhramari Nadi Shodhan, it balances both your nadis. Okay. In case of hypertension, along with your Udyan Bandha, we also do Jalandhar Bandha. So entirely this part, heart region, the energy is provided. That is for bandhas. And mudras for this case, 1 second, I will just check. Yeah, here even Shitali Shitkari will be helpful as a pranayam. And Viprit Karni Mudra. In Viprit Karni Mudra, your heart comes below and your feet are up. It's kind of a topsy-turvy asana, but it is called a mudra. So this is for your hypertension, and let's move to thyroid now. Okay. Now, what is thyroid? We have two types, right? Hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. Underactive thyroids and overactive thyroid. Now, in case of thyroid, generally the stress is the major factor. So, generally there is anxiety, there is irritability, there is overactive, they are very irritable, distracted, anxiety, tension, depressive little. And when you are underactive thyroid, you are having some problem related to memory, then loss of initiative and interest. So this is majorly sorted through our pranayama practice, chanting. Lot of chantings are given to thyroid people. And there are few asanas also which works on this region, thyroid region. So there are two different sets. One is for hypo and one is for hyper. So there is Sarvangasana, Matsyasan. This is for hypo. The first 5 are for the hypothyroidism and the last 4 are for the hyper. Setubandhasan, Shishuasan, Yog Nidra, Marjaryasan are for hyperthyroidism. This is the asana. Ahar, again, it is the same. Here we can do certain mudra, Siha Mudra. Yesterday I had shown the Siha Mudra when we were doing the face yoga, taking the tongue out, looking in between the eyebrows. And the other one also putting the tongue on the upper palate, looking on the tip of the nose. These two also will help you in thyroid related, activating your thyroid glands. Okay. So in general, this is how yoga sort the problems related to your lifestyle diseases. So a lot of yogic wisdom is like discussed with the patient. There's a lot of yogic counseling, you can say, along with not just the asanas or Shuddhi Kriyas. Shuddhi Kriyas has to be followed in all the 4 cases. Okay. You have to do certain, because the toxins have to be thrown out of the system. And you can follow this bandhas, mudras, pranayamas, meditation, chanting, asanas. Overall has a deep impact and the lifestyle of the person over the time changes. Okay, so is it all clear? Any doubts or anything you want to ask? Anyone? Before we take the start doing the actual practice, few of this I will be taking from here. Okay.
I think we can start.
Are you all guys sleeping or what?
Time to wake up, Pallavi. Time to wake up. Let's start.
Okay. I hope it was helpful to you all. Yeah. Okay. So let's get on our mats. Let me arrange my camera. Yeah, you can see. Let me move few things from here. So yesterday we started with Sukshma Vyayam. Okay. So we will be doing few Sukshma Vyayam. Shall we all get up?
We all start. Shall we just switch on our cameras now? Because Pallavi,
Yeah, it would be very nice.
Pallavi need to monitor you when you're doing it.
Yeah, few. Yeah, that's so nice. I will also enjoy teaching, seeing you all. Okay. So anybody remember what we did? We used what is Sukshma Vyayam? Certain rotations of our joints. Okay. So let's start with our feet movement up and down, sideways, rotations, reverse rotations. Yeah, and kicking from the knee. Let's do with the other leg, feet movement, up and down, sideways, rotations, reverse rotations, and kicking from the knee. Now let's keep our hands on the knees. I hope you are all able to follow. You can see me, right? You can, I am on spotlight, yeah. Reverse. Very good. Keep your hand on the waist, little bit waist rotations, reverse rotations. Now just sway your leg back forth a little. You can take support of wall or chair and do it with your other leg also. Good. Now take your palms in front, join your palms, open up, close, open up, close. Join your palms, away. Good, very nice. Let's do some shawa shawa. Okay, other side, shawa shawa. Balle balle. Okay. Now, single arm rotation. How many like cricket over here, bowling? Other arm. I like swimming. So let's do swimming strokes. Let's see how many knows reverse swimming strokes. Very good. Okay. Now again, let's do balle balle. Shoulder up and down, pumping actions. Up and down, up and down. Yes, very good. Very nice. Good. Now, look over your left shoulder. Breathing in, come back to center. Breathe out right shoulder. Breathe in center. One more time. Breathing out left. Breathe in center. Breathing out right. Breathing in center. Breathing out chin to the chest. Drop your head. Inhale. Look up at your ceiling. Again, breathing out chin to the chest. Inhale all the way up. And come back to center. Take your left hand, place it on the right side of your head and pull the head towards the left side. A gentle stretch. Shoulder relax. Change other side. Good. Come back to center. full head rotation. Drop your head, big circle with your head. Relax the head in all the direction. Keep the shoulder relaxed. 3 clockwise rotation, slowly. And then reverse the direction. Go anti-clockwise. And then come back center. Keep your hand on the shoulder and just drop your hand. Elbow movement on your shoulder and drop. Very good. Now keep your hands in front. Flap from your wrists, up and down movements. Sideways, opening, closing door. Bye-bye in front. And bye-bye to the side. Okay, so we did few Sukshma Vyamas. Now let's get into asanas. Now let's see what is the first one. We did obesity. Okay, in obesity, there is something called Veerbhadrasana series. I will be sharing this Excel sheet on the work, our group, WhatsApp group. Okay, so you know what all asanas are. Now here, you have to increase the distance between your two legs. Okay. So we use this as 1 feet. So around 4 feet distance between your two legs. Make it 4 feet. Measure with your feet. Take your left leg out. Completely out to the left. And right leg little bit in. Okay. Now bend your front leg. And adjust your back leg. Now increase the distance. To make your thigh parallel to the ground. You won't be able to do it immediately. Listen to your own body. Do as per your capacity. I am not here to monitor you personally. Take your hand shoulder level. Okay. So this is our Veerbhadrasana. One of the Veerbhadrasana. There are 4 Veerbhadrasanas. So this is the most common. It is named after Veerbhadra, a warrior. So it is also called a warrior pose. Stay there while I'm talking. You will see where is the pressure coming. What part is getting affected? You're feeling pressure over your thighs. It might come on your knee if your knee position is not properly. That's why it has to be learned proper with a proper yoga teacher. So this is Veerbhadrasana. Let's do same thing on the other side. Take your right leg out, left leg in. Fold your front leg, make the thigh parallel. Here also we see the alignment of your waist. Waist should not be like this. Waist should be sideways. And then raise your arms, shoulder level. Hold the position. Veerbhadrasana. Here you focus your breathing. Focus on your breathing. Staying in this asana and breathing. Stiram Sukham Asanam. Asana should be one which gives you stability, which gives you happiness. And Stiram Sukham. Yeah, that is the way it is. And relax. Come up. So this was the Veerbhadrasana, one of the Veerbhadrasana from 4. Next we will go to, let's go to Falakasana. This is our plank. Sit down, come into kneel down position. Place your palms under your shoulder. Spread the fingers. Your entire palm should give a good support. So spread your fingers and one leg at a time, straighten up from the knee. And if you are comfortable, straighten both the legs. Plank posture, Falakasana or Dandasana. See that your buttocks are not too up or too down. It will put pressure on your back. Keep it straight. Now, how this will help the obese person? It will work on its abdomen region. Hold the position. And then keep your knees down and sit. I will teach one more of this. Now, this is also Vajrasana. This is suggested. Many must be aware that you should sit like this in Vajrasana. Your feet like this, cupping, and then you keep your buttocks over there. This is very helpful for digestion because the blood flow gets restricted over here. More blood flow to the organs in the abdominal region. Helps in digestion if you sit after your lunch or dinner. At least this can be done. If you have knee pain, don't do it. Now, next for obesity is spread both the legs. This is also, you know, our ancestors, earlier generation, they used to do a lot of physical activity. So they never used to need anything to reduce their tummy. Okay, so now 2 thumbs up to me, show 2 thumbs up and club it together. And move from one toe to other toe, go behind, again from left toe to right toe and behind. See that I don't bend my elbow remains straight and I keep doing it. Big rotations, big circles. Good, keep doing. Very nice. Now reverse direction. Very nice, good, good. कहाँ पे इफेक्ट हो रहा है, किसके टायर्स निकलते जा रहे हैं, है ना, कमर के सब टायर्स निकल जाएंगे when we do चक्की चलनासन. So this is also very good too for the obese people. And then you may relax. Okay, so there are many in this list of obesity. You can learn it from a proper yoga teacher. Pranayams I will take together at the end. So let's move to the diabetic people's asanas. Now the first one I have selected is Ardha Matsyendra Asana. Now why it is selected? Because it will put a pressure on your pancreas. Now take both legs straight, hands by the side. Okay, let's just bang your thighs, relax the muscles over here. Okay, fine. See if you can walk with your buttocks. This is additional. I'm just adding up. Very good. You all are good. Yeah, fine. Now let's get into Ardha Matsyendra Asana. Now fold your right leg. So fold your right leg. Now this feet is placed under the left butt. Right feet under left butt. And your left leg, keep the feet in front of the knee. Straight. Okay. So this left knee is up. Now raise my right arm up. And elbow, lock it at your left knee. Other arm, left arm goes behind. Look over your shoulder, twist. Keep the hand very close to the buttock. Don't keep it very far off. Your back should remain straight and you should twist. Hold the position. Keep breathing normally. Very good. Same thing we will do on the other side. Again, both legs straight. Now this time I fold my left leg and place it under my right buttock. My right leg, feet in front of the left knee. Left arm up and lock it. And look behind, look over your shoulder. Feel the twist, feel the stretch. Look where it is putting the pressure and focus on your breathing. Come back center and relax. We did Ardha Matsyendra Asana. Next is Vakrasana. Vakrasana can be done even standing and even sitting. Okay, keep both legs straight. Keep both hands in front of you, palm facing each other. Okay, now this is like you're holding a box and look at the box. So your gaze is in between the two palms. Now twist towards the left side. Take the box to the left side. Keep looking in between the two palms. Go till the level you can go. Come back center. Then go towards your right side. Come back center. One more time. Go to your left. You can look over your left shoulder to give a further twist. Come back center. Looking in between the palms. Go towards the right side. Now look over your right shoulder. Again, look in between your two palms. Come back center and relax. So we did sitting Vakrasana. Now let's go to the next thing, Mandukasana. Again, we sit in Vajrasana. Those who cannot sit in Vajrasana can sit on the chair. Now this one you should do only if you have no tummy issues. There is no pain, okay? So what I am going to do, put my thumb inside, roll the 4 fingers and join my knuckles. I've joined my knuckles and I am placing it very close to my abdomen. and making my upper body straight. Breathing out, I go down as much as I can. And stay there in breathe out posture. Inhale, come up. As per your capacity, you can stay little longer. Here we are doing it little less, okay? This will put pressure over here. And when you release it, the blood flows in. So this is called Mandukasana. This is also very good for diabetic patient. Yeah, now let's move to the next disease, hypertension. Paschimottanasana. Okay, take both legs in front. Keep your both hands on your thighs. Keep the back straight. Make your back straight. Toe tucked in. Tuck your toe inward. Knee nicely pressed on the floor and just slide ahead and hold your feet, your toe or your ankle and go down. Take your head towards the knee. Bend the elbows a little and go. Hold the position. Breathing out, you're going down. This will increase the blood flow to your heart region. And then when you release, it relaxes. Yeah. Do as per your capacity. One more time. Slide, hold your feet, head down. And come back. Relax. When we do it standing, it is called Hasta Padasana. Same thing, we can do it standing also. Now, the more the time you can stay in an asanas, better effect on that body part. So this is Paschimottanasana. Now, Trikonasana first let me do, and then we'll go to Setubandhasana. Trikonasana, let's stand up once again. Get up. Okay. Now again, increase the distance between your two legs, 3 to 4 feet. Take your left leg out, right leg 45-degree in, both arms shoulder level, and just pull your body and take it. See that if you can touch the hand with your feet and look at the hand above. Again, there is increased blood flow towards the heart region. Go down, look at the hand above. Stay there, keep breathing normally. Hold the position. Inhaling, come up. Exhale, hands down. Now take your left leg in, right leg out. Both arms shoulder level. See that your waist alignment is sideways, okay, always. Hand shoulder level, pull your body towards the right side first and then go all the way down, touch the feet, look at the hand above. Open up the chest. Stay there, hold up position. And come up and relax. Relax completely. This will give you an idea how much your body is flexible. Currently, whatever our session is happening, this will give you an idea and whether you need to join a yoga class. Okay, let's go to the next one. Setubandhasana. Here we do it lying down. So we lie down. Just relax for 2 seconds. Focus on your breathing first. Observe at your tummy region. Now bend your feet. Place the feet on the floor. Slight distance between your 2 feet. There's a gap between your 2 feet. Okay, and the feet are very close to your buttocks. Okay, and hold the ankle if you can. Otherwise, just place your palms by the side of the feet. And then lift your buttocks up. And make a slanting position with your upper body. Again, the blood flows towards the heart region. Breathing out, breathing in, come back. Okay, this is Setubandhasana. One more time. If you are not able to do, you can use your hand to push the buttocks upwards. This will help you. This is Setubandhasana. Come back. Let's not do too much. Those who are flexible can even do pulse action up and down, making your feet stronger. Okay. Now the last one, thyroid. In thyroid, I have marked Marjariasana, Janu Shirshasana, and Yoga Nidra. Okay, Marjariasana. Let's get this. I think everybody must be knowing. And this is one of the easiest asanas. And it is very good for your back as well. Come into This position where your knees are under your buttocks, your palms are under your shoulder, tabletop position. Inhale and look up, raise your buttocks up and take your lower back down. Feel a cavity at the back region. Look up. See the pressure at the throat region while you try to look upward. Exhale, drop your head and entirely stretch your entire back. Drop the head, pull your back upward. This is like how the cat stretches. That is why it is called Marjariasana. Okay. And this, when you look up, this is called cow position. Buttocks up, look up, lower back down. You can do 2-3 times. Drop your head, pull your back upward. Inhale, look up. And then relax. This is Marjariasana. Then let's do Janu Shirshasana. Take both legs in front. This is something like Paschimottanasana, much easier. Fold your right leg, place the feet at the inner thigh. Okay, so this leg is straight, toe pointing upward. Keep your hands on your thigh, make your back straight, and just slide down and hold your feet or ankle. Take your head towards the knee. Go down completely. Relax the upper body. Let the elbow up, bend a little. Stay there in normal breathing. Inhale, come up. Let's change. Now the right leg is straight, left leg is folded. Place the feet at the inner thigh. Again, both hands on your thighs, back straight. And slide ahead, hold your feet. Take your head towards the knee. Relax your upper body, elbow bend a little. And come up. So this we did as the Janu Shirshasana, Marjariasana. Okay, now there is something called child pose, Shishuasana. Sit in Vajrasana. And then slide your hands and just drop your upper body. Take your head towards the floor. Yes, relax the upper body, let it fall down. Shishuasana. Another way of doing Shishuasana is taking your hands by the side of your feet and just dropping your head in front. Relaxing the shoulders also. Yes, stay there. Keep breathing. Know where you are holding your breath. Inhale, come up. So we have practiced now almost all the few asanas from each of this. Now lie down, Yoga Nidra, which is beneficial. This is conscious relaxation. Okay, so lie down, come on. Take your hands little away from your body, distance between your two legs. Palms are facing upward and eyes are closed. Listen to all the noises around and be in harmony with your surroundings. And take your attention on the body. Focus on the breathing at the stomach region. With every breathe out, feel as if your whole body is sinking down. Just let go. You're going more and more down, relaxing more and more. Feel as if the gravity is working over the entire body. Just let go. Elongate your exhalation. Aparna, you can take the Nadi Shodhan and then meditation. Just relax. Stay there in that position. Lie down. We have not given the instruction to get up. Just lie down. Relax yourself completely. Look inward. Very few times we are looking inwards. Our all five senses are always going outwards. Focus on the breathing. And with every breathe out, relax more and more. Yeah, Aparna.
Those who are lying down, gently turn to your right side. And with the support of your hand, sit up. Let's do Nadi Shodhan Pranayam. I'll give you the instruction. Just follow the instruction. If you were not present yesterday, you can keep your eyes open and see what I'm doing. So with the left hand, we're going to do a chin mudra. That is your thumb and index finger touching each other. This is called chin mudra. Keep this hand on your left thigh. Gently place your left hand on your left thigh. Now with the right hand, we're going to do a Nasika mudra. What is Nasika mudra? Thumb on your right nostril. The palm facing upward, Charu. Yes, good question. Yes. Right hand, thumb on your right nostril. A minute, I'll just go on the gallery mode. The index finger and middle finger in between your eyebrows. Finger and middle eyebrows. And remaining two finger on your left nostril. This is also called alternate nostril breathing. Let's close your right nostril and breathe in through your left nostril. Close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril. Now breathe in through your right nostril. Close the right nostril, breathe out through left nostril. This is one cycle. Left in, right out, right in, left out. Continue keeping your eyes closed. Lipika, continue. Nadi Shodhan Pranayam. Eyes closed. Experience of the pranayam is much better if your eyes are closed. Let your breath be gentle, no forceful breathing. No body movement, no jerks. Very gentle breathing. All of you doing good. Keep breathing. Excellent. Gentle breath. In and out. Now exhale through your left nostril and relax. Keep your right hand on your right thigh. Make sure your eyes are closed. We'll do meditation now for next 5 minutes. You just have to listen to my instruction. And if there's a gap between two instructions, please do not open your eyes. I'm here. There'll be some gap between two instructions of mine. Keep your eyes closed, shoulders relax. If you wish to take a back support, now you can take the back support. Let's enjoy this meditation. You're allowed to take a back support. Sit comfortably and easily. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Next 5 minutes is just for us. Take another deep breath in and breathe out completely. Listen to all the sounds around you. Maybe the sound of a traffic, sound of children's playing, fan, fridge. Watch and listen carefully to any noise around you. And accept all the noises. Be in harmony with them. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. With every breath, relax more and more. Let's become aware of our physical body. We will take attention to different body parts now. Become aware of your right foot, right ankle, right knee, right thigh, right hip joint, whole of your right leg. Take your attention to your left foot, left ankle, left knee, left thigh, left hip joint, and whole of your left leg. Relax more and more. Now let's take our attention to your abdomen, stomach, chest. Breathe in and breathe out. Another deep breath in and breathe out. Let's take attention to your right hand. Fingers, elbow, right shoulder. Relax your right hand completely. Let go. Take your attention to your left hand. Fingers, elbow, shoulder, and relax your left hand completely now. Take your attention to your throat. Breathe in, breathe out. Take your attention to your face, forehead, nose, chin, cheeks, eyes, top of your head, back of your head. Take another deep breath in. Let go. Let's become aware of your thoughts, whether good thoughts or bad thoughts. Be in harmony with them. Do not resist any thoughts. जो भी विचार आ रहे हैं उन्हें आने दो. It's okay. Now you are in harmony with your thoughts. Take a deep breath in and let go. Now become aware of your feelings. Good feelings or not so good feelings. Let it be. Relax more and more. You are peace. You are joy. Just be with yourself right now. Keep breathing. Continue breathing. Become aware of your feelings again. Become aware of thoughts. Become aware of the sensation in your body. Become aware of your environment, your surrounding. Take a deep breath in and let go. Another deep breath in and let go. Now, very slowly and gradually, at your own speed, you may open your eyes. अपना ही समय लेके जब चाहे आप आंखें खोल सकते हो. Take your time. How are you feeling? Yeah, I can see.
Great.
I can see the change. Yeah, great. Yeah, feeling good. You can unmute me. Good, relax. This is the state of mind we want, right? Every single day. We either are awake or asleep. Even sleep, we don't get rest because we are dreaming, we are thinking, we are planning. Only in meditation, which is a conscious awareness, we actually get true rest. Yeah. I know किसी का बोलने का मन नहीं कर रहा है. But if you have to take anything from this session, from yesterday and today, what I want, me and Pallavi want, is that please take a pledge that you will do pranayam, at least one pranayam and this 10-minute meditation every single day. खुद को 10 मिनट टाइम देना ही देना है. Whatever it is, देना ही देना है. And this is our culture, isn't it? Every time it doesn't have to come from US for us to start doing, isn't it? So this is the whole purpose of me and Pallavi taking this session. We've been doing this session in COVID time last 1.5 years. The whole idea is that let's be aware. Yeah, anyone want to say anything? Now, if there are any question for Pallavi, you can unmute and ask. Before we end, I want to thank Charu, my dear friend, and Lipika for keeping this session. It only shows how much aware we have become. Somehow, as a doctor, I've realized, I have been meditating for last 16 years. As a doctor, I've realized that somehow we miss this. And this is so important for every single person. So thank you, Charu and Lipika, for calling me, and Pallavi. Really grateful. Okay,
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for really helping us know about the importance of.
Pallavi, I have a question.
Yeah, ask. Yeah.
I have this problem, prolapse introvertible disc, around 21 years ago. So for me, sitting and doing some asanas are not possible, which I was doing before. Since last 20 years, I had history of paraplegia in 2001, and now I cannot do some of the asanas. I have hypertension, diabetes, and IHD. This 10th last year.
Okay.
3 stents in LED, circumflex, and OM1. So my this thing that some of the things I was doing my childhood, all asanas, yogas, everything, whatever you are doing, teaching, that I was knowing almost majority. But after my disc prolapse, for me, it was 2001. So I'm not able to, so some of the asanas which are in the, whatever the position, in the sitting position. So I have to hold my back bit behind. So I cannot keep my knee straight. What you are doing. So outside you cannot make out the difference. So my question is that in sitting, some asanas are there which are not possible for me, that with the chair help I can do.
Yeah, you can do. That's what I was going to tell. Sitting on the chair.
Yeah.
First, work on your hypertension.
I can do all asanas in lying down, and I can do in the sitting.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. You can do lying down and sitting on the chair. Standing also you can do. Go with your body. Listen to your body. Slowly increase the pace. Meditate every single day. Pranayam also. This will actually increase your immunity level. Overall, it will change. A lot of things will change. So working on your pranayam meditation is more important. Secondly, work on your food also for hypertension related thing. And then lying down and sitting on the chair, you can do the asanas. That way you can work. Yeah. There is one question somebody had asked, Nadi Shodhan and Anulom Vilom is same. And I think one more person had written something. Let me check. Yeah. The person was, I think they feel yoga is marketing. I really can't say anything. You have to experience something to know what it is. I have done it since I'm practicing yoga 10 years, and it is a deep science of our country. We should at least respect that. Nadis, we cannot see. Yes, we cannot see. We can see the blood flowing in blood vessels, but we cannot see the nadis. But that does not mean that they do not exist. It does exist. Like you see that our eyesight has a limited capacity compared to a dog. Dog can see something more. Does that mean that that what dog sees does not exist? It exists, right? There are many things which we cannot, we as a human have certain limitations. Does not mean that does not exist. It is something this Rishi Munis have experienced. They have practiced themselves on themselves and then written about all these things. So you need to have some trust factor to practice it. If you don't have trust, please don't practice it. It's okay. But respect. That is what I can say. Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah, Pallavi, I have issues with my knees. So I cannot do Vajrasan. So just like Dr. Ganpati asked, correct. I think I can do it sitting in chair.
Yeah, and you can straighten up the knee. So few things where the blood circulation improve around your knee, and even the muscles, ligaments around the knee become stronger. So few things sitting on the chair you can do to improve the functioning over there.
Yeah. Any more questions? Me and Pallavi would like the feedback on the group. So please.
Yeah, it would be really good.
That will encourage us to take more sessions like this.
Yes, definitely. Please.
Probably,
yes.
Yeah, probably next time we can have a series in which we focus on one lifestyle disorder and, intensive advice only one lifestyle. Probably that will be much better, I think.
Sure,
Isn't it?
We can plan it, surely.
We can plan that. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Nipika, you want to say anything?
I just wanted to say a big thank you to Aparna and Pallavi, because it is not easy on a Sunday. Like, you get one day to spend time with your family. So, and time is so precious, and it is the most precious gift you are giving to us. And what could be better in such a good way, like you're spreading good health and happiness to everyone in today's world. And time is the most precious gift one can give. And you both are doing that for us. And yesterday I was just asking something to my brother-in-law, and he said nothing in life comes free. And I told him there are good things in life which come free. Just open your eyes and keep your ears open, keep your 5 senses open. And I think this is one of them.
Thank you, Nivedita. You said it.
We are doing karma yoga.
Nive joined from UK. Thank you, Nive, for joining. I love you, really. So happy to see you.
Thank you. No, I love you too. And also, I was telling Aparna yesterday that we have lost Kohinoor gem to Britain, and we should keep our yoga, which is there, and treasure it.
Yeah.
Yes. And we should look at more beyond the asanas.
Yes. So, Nive, you were telling yesterday that in your OT complex there is a meditation room, right? There's some room where people.
It is not just a meditation room. It is what do you call
relaxation room.
A relaxation room, a break. Like, if, for example, you can use it for anything except for, like, it's not a lunch room or coffee room or anything like that. It's just a room where somebody just wants to take a break and get out and sit there. And you can have a sign outside saying, do not disturb. That means the room is in you. And for example, if I want to talk something confidential to somebody, I can't do it in the coffee room. I can't do it in the office because somebody will barge in. So it can be used as a confidential room, but it can also be used as, like, to break from the, to get out of a situation where you don't want to be there and go and just close your eyes and sit down. So I was telling Aparna that there is this room, and which has got a sofa or a couch with some pillows. You can just go. I usually go there and sit for 10 minutes if I have time, or if some patient is cancelled or something like that. Just go sit there, and if I've missed my Sudarshan Kriya, I'll also go there and do that. So so a room is there, and it will also have some some sweets or some fruits or something like that, where you can also
Satvika
consume that.
Is it available only for consultants or residents too?
No, everyone, nurses, healthcare workers, porters, anyone can go, because everyone is same. There is no hierarchy.
Really great.
Even the head of the department to the porter, anyone can go and use that room, because good health is for everyone.
I like
in that.
Mental health, actually.
I like that concept, and I think with the leaders like Charu, who has initiated such thing, it's not too far. Like, we will be having such in our Nair hospital, isn't it, Charu?
True. Absolutely. I will put that suggestion to our dean.
Yes. Thank you. We need more leaders like you. Knowledge is so important. Thank you so much. Really, this is it. Anyone else? Any closing remark? Then otherwise, I think the meeting is over.
I think Lip can give the closing remarks.
There's a problem with Lipika ma'am's audio. So on behalf of Lipika ma'am and Charu ma'am, I would really want to thank Dr. Aparna and Pallavi ma'am for today's session. We really enjoyed ourselves and we learned a lot more. And thank you for your time and being a part of Centenary Year celebration for Nair Hospital. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Shall we take a group photo, Krupa?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Please keep your screen on.
Camera again.
At least photo ke liye camera on kar do. Okay, all smile. Everyone smile. Ek screen hai na? Yeah. Okay, one more. Okay, thank you.
And Aparna ma'am and Pallavi ma'am have been very kind to share their contact numbers in the chat box below. So you all can definitely contact them for any further queries. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Chalo, bye bye.
Bye bye.